This is the Big Biz Show. What's so funny about investing money, you ask?
Play ball.
The Big Biz Show with Russ and Sully hope to answer that. Top-rated, insightful financial analysis. If you're looking for insightful financial perspective on key market strategies, keep looking. I told you, this is the Big Biz Show. Hello. This is Russ and Sully.
Hey, live from the Jump Television Studios in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz Show's on there. We've been talking to our TV audience, and now we get to talk to our radio audience, nationwide, coast to coast. Welcome. Russ and I started in radio 22 years ago, and we were just a radio program until about 12 years ago. We got pulled on television, and to your chagrin, now you have to watch us. Interesting story. When we first got on TV, Chris, I don't know if you were with us or not, but someone had approached us about taking the radio program on television. And what they did is they put cameras in the studio, and they had this weird thing called the internet that they wanted to show people online, what we looked like. Because remember, back in the day, you had no idea what the guys looked like. They were doing talk radio. So we discovered when they looked at the analytics of the website that they were watching what we did on commercial breaks more than they were watching the show. So there you go. Hey, look at that. That's Jim Price. Jim Price is the CEO of Leon Asset Management. Stock symbol LEON, and of course they are. Do I call you? I can't call you the founder of Cholesterade, but you're just the guy that you're the guy that do I call it revitalized the brand? Because it seems like
just call me the CEO.
All right, the CEO of Leon. Fine. We now have a new co-host apparently. I have a question for you. Before we get into Cholesterade, full disclosure, Jim and I have known each other for 15 years, probably better than that. We were both in the investment banking business together. We both worked on, we were just deal junkies and worked on a lot of publicly traded companies. What made you take the jump from investment banking to being the guy at the helm? Because you and I always said, boy, I'm glad I'm not the CEO of some of these companies. And now you're a CEO of a very large holding company that does a lot of different stuff, and now you're beholden to your shareholders. You're killing it, you're kicking it, but what made you take that jump? Because I know there's a lot of guys that are watching us and gals that are watching us and listening to us, that are in the financial services business, that have the same mindset that you and I had.
Yeah, probably just under 2 years ago, I was given the opportunity to take control of Leon Asset Management as a CEO. The former CEO retired, and he gave me the first opportunity, and knowing the assets that were involved, knowing what I was working on at the current time, it just made all the sense in the world for me to be able to take GoEpic Health, which I was a founder, which acquired the rights to these products that were invented by Dr. Cade, to put it into that public company, and it was time.
So my question would be this: is your background in investment banking a blessing or a curse? Because with a public company, obviously that sometimes your value of a company has nothing to do with the price of your stock. I mean, let's take a look at Apple. Let's take a look at Starbucks, for example. Starbucks has been down to $9 a share, and that market cap was literally a tenth of what their actual hard assets were worth at that time. How do you stay focused? Because much like a financial planner, which neither of us are, you got to keep the blinders on when Rome is burning. How do you keep the blinders on as a CEO, knowing what you know about stock markets?
I think for me, it's knowing also as an investor for such a long time. What do I want to see from the CEOs of the companies that I'm investing in? And it's shareholder value. So for me, I wake up every morning thinking, all right, how do I create more shareholder value? What am I going to do for the company over the short term and the long term to build that overall value? And you're 100% right. You can't predict what the stock's going to do day in and day out. And sometimes, we see companies every day report with fantastic numbers, the stock goes down. Can figure that out? I don't know. I've never been able to figure that one out.
If anybody can figure that out, though, that's going to be the richest guy in the world, because they could be able to look into a crystal ball. All right, let's talk about Leon Asset Management before we get to Cholesterade, because Leon Asset Management is a holding company that has several. It's a big umbrella to several other initiatives. So let's talk about leonasset.com, GoEpicHealth.com. Pharmaca Africa, which I know you're leaving for Africa this week, actually. Talk about all of those components as it relates to the one company.
Sure. So initially, when I took over the helm as CEO, there were two primary subsidiaries in the company. One was Pharmaca Africa, which is an agriculture product company in Sierra Leone, in West Africa. We have about a little over 2,300 acres of agricultural land right now that we're we're clearing, we're planting, we're growing lemongrass, we're growing hibiscus, we're growing coffee, we're growing green tea.
So let me interrupt you there. Why lemongrass? Why coffee? Why hibiscus? Because I got to believe they're not just cash crops. There's got to be some science here, because I know you.
Yeah. So the lemongrass specifically is a heart healthy product.
Okay.
There is, you can Google lemongrass oil and find out there's 25 different health benefits to it. Predominantly though, it lowers cholesterol, it regulates blood pressure. It's just a fantastic product, and it can be, you can use it in the form of an essential oil for aromatherapy, or you can add it to some products, or a tea. You drink a tea.
Is this the new wheatgrass of the 2000s? Because
it's such a huge business, so like nationwide or worldwide. Yeah. Predominantly Asia, Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's $75 billion industry.
And the coffee thing's a natural for Africa.
Of course.
Now, is that in hopes of is that for holistic purposes, or is that going to be for, you're going to be a coffee company as well?
No, holistic. It's holistic. Yeah.
All right.
And then the hibiscus is the same thing. The essential oil, the teas, same thing. Google it and you'll find 15, 20 different health benefits to it. And being in that heart healthy category, that's where I like to be.
And Pharmaca Africa is going to end up being a holistic, I shouldn't say medicine, but a holistic products company, correct?
Right. We're just going to continue to grow. We have access. I spent 6 years there basically as the investment banker in the country, and
in fact, and I think we should talk about that too, because you created investment banking somewhat with the government of, is it West Africa?
Yes.
Sierra Leone. So basically, you went down there and they talked to a guy, and you were vetted, like, the vetting process was actually longer than you were down there.
Sure.
And you created investment banking down there.
Sure. Yeah. The former Minister of Finance invited me to come and help build the stock exchange. They still have a small stock exchange. They only had a couple of public companies at the time, but they needed help. They needed guidance. So they asked me to come down. So I set up the investment bank. I helped them with the exchange. I created the testing. I created the study material needed for people to be able to pass and get licensed, similar to what our Series 65 would be as a financial advisor. I interviewed maybe 500 different bankers, hired 20 to be investment bankers, to be financial advisors. Put them through the rigors of like what our Series 7 would be, that studying and,
So you created an infrastructure that actually 100%. Worked. And what's interesting here is then a black swan event happened that oftentimes scuttles stock markets. For example, a 9/11 event would have been it. Okay, a world war would be it. Disease is also it. Yeah. You brought up a word yesterday when you and I were at a meeting that scuttled the whole thing, or at least paused everything.
Sure.
And that was what?
The Ebola crisis.
The Ebola virus.
Yeah, something that's you said basically it's a national god.
It shut down 3 countries.
Three countries. Yeah, it was not just companies, but countries. It was brutal. It was just a terrible thing that happened. Thousands and thousands of lives were lost.
Yeah.
And of course, economies were just turned upside down. There was a couple of the largest mining companies in the country that were trading on the AIM went bankrupt. Yeah. And these are billion-dollar companies.
Well, and I think the moral of the story, I know you're a humble guy, but the moral of the story is Pharmaca Africa comes out of it, and you come out of the ashes, and it's successful, along with everything else you're doing there. Talk a little bit more about the Leon Asset Management philosophy, because I want to spend a whole segment on the cholesterol in and of itself.
Sure. So also, in addition to the agriculture project, we have some infrastructure development. Sub-Saharan Africa for the next 50, 100 years will be the largest build-out infrastructure-wise worldwide. And we have a 267-acre granite quarry. It has about a $2 billion asset in granite. And they need it. They need the rock to build roads, to build airports, dams, bridges, whatever it is. And it's
is your heart. Your heart's for the people as much as it is for the business.
Absolutely.
So now you're any chance of you going back there and staying full time at some point? Is that the dream?
No, probably not. I'll just keep traveling back and forth. I have a great team that's on the ground there. We have well over 100 employees. I love the idea of developing self-worth in these people.
Sure.
They've been through a lot. They went through a civil war. Everybody saw the movie
They went through a
Blood
civil
Diamond,
war, then
right?
they went through horrible
then they went
disease.
Through the Ebola.
It's like Egypt. Yeah. Honest to goodness. Jim Price is our guest today. He is the CEO of Leon Asset Management. Their stock symbol, by the way, it is publicly traded LEON. And of course, think big, win the world is their tagline. Go Epic Health, Pharmaca Africa are the 2 big products the 2 big websites we're talking about today. But we're going to talk about Cholesterade, because tell me about Dr. J. Robert Cade.
Sure.
Because that's an interesting story that nobody probably even knows the name.
Yeah, you're right. No one would know his picture. It was kind of funny when I was on last week, and I liked the reference that the Russ had. He pulled up the bottle and had Dr. Cade's picture on the back.
Right.
The old milk carton, lost
He's
child
missing.
reference, right?
Right.
I was laughing pretty good on that. It was good. But no, so Dr. Cade was the inventor of Gatorade. Everyone knows Gatorade. They really don't. A lot of people don't. The majority of people probably don't know the story behind that. But Dr. Cade invented Gatorade for the University of Florida football team. That year that he invented it, they went on to win the Orange Bowl. Steve Spurrier won the Heisman Trophy. Fantastic story.
Right.
Long story short, PepsiCo, through the levels of transactions, paid almost $14 billion for it.
$14 billion.
To get to Quaker Oats, bought Quaker Oats, which owned
And that's
Gatorade.
why they did it.
Absolutely.
They bought
wanted
Quaker
Gatorade.
Oats not for the oatmeal or for the Fiber One bars.
Right.
They bought it for the Gatorade.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
And then the rest of the story we're going to tell you in a second, because from that iconic brand story comes a brand new brand from the makers of the same brand, and it's pretty interesting. They're also a sponsor here on Big Biz Show, as well as the Ray Lucia Show, as well as America Trends. But yeah, so now you know the whole story behind it. We're going to tell you how it works out. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. Jim Price, our guest.